Hi friends. It's gonna be a much more informal, chit-chatty type of, like going back to our break room chat days type of video. And we're gonna talk about changing your mind because this is something that has affected my life a lot recently. I have an AirPod in. I need to take that out. My ear's gonna get sore. I just like wander around with them in all the time and then I don't even know I'm doing it. Anyway, does anyone else do that? And then whatever. We've already dived into the rambles. This is for anyone who needs to hear that it's okay to change your mind. And it's just as much a video for me as it is for anyone else. So if you've been following my channel at all in the last year, you've kind of noticed my existential crisis. And that's probably putting it nicely. It's been, as I feel with a lot of people in all careers, healthcare, teachers, I feel like everyone's just really sitting down and evaluating, like, do I want to do this? And I have really come out on this end of my time away from primary care. So I'm a nurse practitioner. I worked in primary care for 3 years. We moved. I have this social media thing. So I was like, I kind of want to do more of that. Another job came up, which is like an online nursing education thing through Lecturio that I took that. And it hasn't left me with a ton of extra time to fill in with like clinical type stuff. I did then research doing like a telehealth job so I could still do NP stuff. And I didn't want to. And I thought, okay, I'm going to give this a couple more months. And I still didn't want to. And I'm kind of coming to the conclusion that I'm changing my mind about what I want to do in life. And that is difficult when a lot of your identity is kind of wrapped up in it and there's a lot of guilt within it. And I don't know why there's guilt. So I think just from talking with other people that this is something that other people are feeling, a lot of feeling like I'm a failure for switching my mind. So today we're just going to have a little chat through that. And I'm going to tell you what I would tell myself if I wasn't me, essentially, if you are in the process of changing your mind too. Okay, if you're new here, welcome. I'm Liz. I am like I said, a family nurse practitioner, and I thought I was going to be a primary care family nurse practitioner for the rest of my days after I went to school for that. I was so passionate about it because as a nurse, I saw a lot of people with a lot of end-stage disease that I thought could be caught early and educated on, and I just wanted to provide patient education and guidance to my patients before they got to the hospital. And primary care is where I feel like you can do that because that's where you can you can go in and you can intervene early, you can teach them about what's going on with their body. And in reality, primary care is it's really hard. It's brutal in the system that we're in now. People can't afford care. I'm doing a whole side video deep dive into all of the healthcare things and like how we got here. If you want to follow along for that, I will leave the first one linked down below. But appointment times are 15 minutes. There's no time to do any education. You know, I'm seeing why everyone is ending up in the hospital, and it's because of how horribly our healthcare system is set up. And how you can't just do it all in primary care and they burn you out because then you're working so hard. I mean, you're just managing so many things. And this whole video is not going to be about me complaining about primary care, I promise. And I'm not trying to scare anybody who's going into it, but it was just the reality of it was so different than what I wanted. And I kept thinking, you know, oh, it's going to be fine. Like I'm going to find and I'm sure these are out there. Sorry, they're like, anytime I turn on my camera, people start doing yard work. I'm like, it's 30 degrees outside and snowing. What are you doing? Anyway, my 4-year-old's excited about the snow falling. She's singing a song. Oh dear, now I've lost my train of thought. It might be a while till it comes back. Pause in the station. Oh yeah, I left that job and everyone on social media and in my life was kind of asking, well, when are you going to find your next NP job? And then as we approach, we're moving in another 2 months back to where we will be living long term. And this is kind of the timeline I had imagined that I would have had a few months off. I will have recharged and I would go start looking for a job there, part-time, so I could still balance like Lecturio and everything. And I don't want to, so I keep putting it off. And then I sort of came to the realization the other day of I don't want to. I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to just like not fill out my resume. I don't want to not do, like apply for jobs, which just sucks. But like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to try to find a unicorn of a job that's going to give me enough time to do what I want to do. I don't want to. I kind of have pivoted over to an education space, and I want to do that. I want to kind of grow this YouTube channel and like do other things with it and provide patient education on a larger platform. And I want to keep doing my Lecturio thing and providing education that way, but I don't want to go back to primary care. And that has been difficult to digest because that is a large life pivot that brings up a lot of feelings in me about like I'm a failure, that I couldn't cut it, that I wasn't good enough, that I wasted all this time. It just leads to more questions of like, if I really want to go all in on this, I will eventually have to get my doctorate. I will eventually, like, I need to probably at some point do some other stuff for this. It's just been really hard. It's been a really big identity thing, especially with this YouTube channel, if we're being sober honest, because I know a lot of people follow me for like nursing and NP stuff. And I like taking a step back from it. I'm worried that, I've already gotten a lot of comments like, oh, you're not a real NP. You're not a real, like, look at you already quitting. It's been difficult. And if I was honest with myself, 2 or 3 weeks ago when I was deciding this, I was like, oh, if I go back, it would literally be for social media so that I could post about it, so that I could show like, oh, look, I am a practicing nurse practitioner. And I was like, that just doesn't make sense. That's not fair to me. Then I'm like, but that's silly because you did all this work to get here. So that's kind of my conundrum and the negative talking at myself that I've been doing about all of this. And my mom heard me saying something the other day about, I was replying to a nasty comment that someone had made in my life about how I was just like quitting and dropping out and I couldn't cut it. And I said, yeah, like, but I did, you're right. I couldn't hack it and I don't want to do it. And maybe I'm not good enough to do it. And, Mama Bear, like fur went up on the back of her neck and she was like, you're not failing. You're just pivoting. She's like, you're changing your mind and you're allowed to change your mind. And that this, all of the skill sets that I've gotten through my practice and through school and everything that led me here, like has let me do, I've learned so much from it. And she's like, I wish you would look at it in a more positive way versus seeing it as a failure. And I was like, oh man, like that's true. Because that's exactly what I would tell someone else. And that's what I tell people all the time, that it's okay to change your mind. So this is me saying I have changed my mind. I don't want to work, at least right now, as a nurse practitioner because I wasn't finding enjoyment in it at the end there. There were definitely positive patient encounters, but a lot of it was just there's too much paperwork. The patients can't access the care they want. There's never enough time. And that's not what I wanted. And so it feels selfish to step away from it, but it also feels like good. And so I just want to encourage you that if you're sitting there and you're thinking a lot of these same things, that if you are like, say you're a nurse and you're like, this is not for me. Your job gets kind of tied up in your identity, I feel like, and it can feel like you are failing or you're, whatever, if you change your mind. But you're not. So like I said, this is the pep talk I am giving and I need to rewatch it and give it to myself because you're allowed to change your mind. How silly is it that, we would think, oh, I'm going to make this choice and I'm going to stick with it forever. You're learning all the time. So say you don't want to be a nurse anymore. Or you want to pivot to a totally different area in nursing. You have learned so much already by coming to where you are, and you would never know where you wanted to go next if you didn't come into this room, this space that we're already in. And if we kind of just look at everything as like an evolution rather than you saying, oh, I failed, just stepping into it and saying, I haven't failed. I have done this and I've learned what skills I'm really good at. And I'm going to kind of like step up into the next better version of myself. Will maybe some people be disappointed? Yes. Will some people probably say some mean things? Yeah, but that honestly probably is more about to say about them than it does about you. Like maybe they're also feeling like insecure in their job choice, or like they would like a change. It might be stemming from jealousy if you're getting a lot of negativity. After reflecting on kind of everything, I think the person who has been really, really mean to me about it, I think it probably is stemming from jealousy of that I have the option to leave. And which I absolutely like will never take for granted and I'm so appreciative of. But I would just look at the people in your life who are making those negative comments and see, is it really about you? Because I would bet almost every single time that it's not. And at the end of the day, do they matter? Are these people who at the end of the day, their opinion matters? In my case, no. I don't know why I was letting this person have so much like mental handle over me, but I was. And so I would ask you to do the same thing. Like look at it and give yourself first permission to change your mind, because it is insane to think that we won't change our mind throughout our life. To two, look at it as you just narrowing down of what you're gonna, like what you really love doing, and like taking the next step towards it, whatever step that might be. Acknowledging that everything you've already done, it wasn't a waste. It got you to exactly where you are here, and you're just finding, you know, like what you're best at next, acquiring a ton of skills, and ignoring the people who have mean things to say, because unless it is someone who is incredibly close to you, who you value their opinion above all else. Like if my husband or my mom or someone came to me and they said, I really don't think this is right, it wouldn't necessarily make me be like, I'm, you know, hard stop, but it would definitely make me pause and say, why are they saying this? You know, because they hopefully have my best interest at heart. And if it's not one of those people that it's saying these things, then who cares? Like it's going to be uncomfortable, but what would you rather be uncomfortable? Like going and doing something you hate every single day, and being not having to have those uncomfortable conversations, or just going for it and dealing with the crap. I mean, they'll go away, they'll be fine. And so that would be my encouragement to you, is that we're not failures. We are finding a different version of ourselves, and only hopefully good things can come from that. And I know like everyone can't quit their jobs that they hate. I would hope that you could find something that you like a little bit more, but I definitely acknowledge like how lucky it is that I was able to pivot, because I know a lot of people are stuck, and stuck just sucks. Still look, still see, is there other stuff out there? You know, take what you have at your job and you really like. Is there, you know, what can you do with that in like a different way? But don't feel like a failure, because we're not failures. We're just pivoting and refining the things that we're good at and getting them even better. You know, what I usually tell people when they would come to me and I was in the office and they're like, oh, I really need to make this big life change. I'm like, and that's awesome, because who knows, like who would miss out on something huge that you're gonna do that we don't even know what we're gonna do yet. If you changed your mind, and you can still like, I don't know, like this is probably leaning back more towards me, and this is very rambly, and I'm sorry. Like maybe if I do go more with like some different YouTube things, I'll be able to reach people in a different way, and it would impact even more people than I would have impacted in the first place in primary care. Yeah, at least that's what I'm hoping and thinking. I don't know. It's hard, and I've been scared to admit it out loud. Like I said, this is back to me, and we're done with your pep talk. Now we're just talking about me again. Maybe it can apply to you. I've been scared to admit it out loud because I don't want, if I want to kind of do YouTube education, I need some people to watch it. I'm like, if I come out here and say I am doing another major life pivot, most people have followed me because I'm a nurse practitioner. And if I'm not practicing anymore, like what's the point? But hopefully a few of you will stick around. I appreciate you, but that's kind of it. It's okay to change your mind. You owe nothing to your profession. You know, if I've heard a lot of nurses say like their profession needs them, same with nurse practitioners. And I'm like, if your employer is not respecting you and the job is not what you want to do, like you owe it nothing. You know, it's okay to leave and do what's best for you. It would be absurd in any other field for someone to try to give you crap for like changing your mind or going in a different direction. So healthcare is just a weird mind trap, and that's how they get us, because we're empathetic people usually, and they use that to our disadvantage. So there's my very long ramble to say it's okay to change your mind. I know it's scary and it feels kind of like you're ripping the ground out from under you, But if you do it and you let yourself sit for a few days, like I've let myself sit with this for like about 2 weeks, and I just feel at peace with that. You know, it was kind of this big looming thing over my head, like, oh, you really need to start looking for a job. And then when I really came out and I said, I don't want to, I talked to the telehealth company that I was working with and I said, I've changed my mind. I don't want to do this. It was immediate relief, like, just like, okay. And I think that's a pretty good sign. So encourage you to be bold in that. Know that it's going to be kind of uncomfortable. You're going to have some difficult conversations, but if you keep doing things that make you feel like at peace, then it's the right thing for you and you're just going to keep becoming your best self. So let me know down below if you have been feeling that lately or you've ever felt that and what you're looking to like get into. You know, I think there's a whole world of opportunities out there and you never know. I would rather try this and then find out later, like we still have our backup plans. You know what I mean? That's what I say to everybody too. If they're like, oh, I'm nervous to try that. I'm like, you know what? If I fail, like I can go back and get an NP job and it'll be totally fine. And I'm not saying I never will in the future. You know, when I don't have little kids and I have a little bit more maybe energy within my soul, maybe I'll have the energy to go back and do that. But right now I just kind of need something that really feeds me like as a human and like doesn't further suck my soul out, because being a parent of young children it's a lot. I love them dearly, but whoa. So yeah, there's my spiel on that. Thanks if you're still here. I know that I didn't want to do a scripted video because I wanted it to be very like, just, I don't know, personal, whatever, chit-chatty. And I probably got too chit-chatty, but anyway, thanks for being here. I appreciate you as always. And I'm excited to see where all of this takes us. Bye, friend. You can do hard things. Remember that you can do hard things and uncomfortable things, and you're great. Bye.